dropping the hammer.
No, you're not.
I like your background there with your pictures.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, this is like kind of like my office area. So I got like trophies and helmets and stuff over here. The racing sim there. But yeah.
Okay, well, so which one of those trophies is your favorite?
Probably that. Wait, how do I point? This guy right here.
The one with the hat on it?
Yeah, the red hat. That's my my IndyCar podium at Iowa trophy.
Oh, I didn't know they gave trophies for podiums in IndyCar. No, I had no idea.
Yeah, they do podiums every weekend. So it's cool because I don't know. Yeah, if you don't win, you can still get something. But yeah, NASCAR, it's just you gotta win.
Well, I know they do podiums in IndyCar. I just didn't know they gave trophies to the other podium finishers. I covered IndyCar for like 2 years and I had no idea. So,
yeah, a lot of the time it's basically the same trophies, but just smaller than the winning one.
Really? Okay. All right. Cool. All right, man. So it's been a few weeks since I saw you in Road America. You're in a better mood than you were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's going on with you these days?
Not much, just kind of getting ready for more races this year. You know, my next one is Pocono, which is cool for me, you know, because that's I guess you call it my home track. You know, I only live like 30 minutes from there. So like I'll be staying at my house, you know, the night before the race and coming in race day morning, and I'll have like a lot of friends and family there and everything. So that'll be cool for me to go do that. And then just kind of like piecing together the rest of the schedule and, you know, what those races might look like. And so, yeah, it's exciting stuff. It's just, you know, it's still like a lot of stuff up in the air. So it's like a lot of work to figure out what we can do and when we can do it. And just trying to get as much seat time as possible.
So do you know of any races that you're doing after Pocono? Is that the only one you have like set in stone right now?
I know for sure Indianapolis road course as well.
Okay.
Indy road course for sure. And then, you know, there's like a lot of stuff that's kind of moving parts right now. You know, I would love to go back to Bristol again. I would love to do a super speedway. So whether that's Daytona or Talladega, you know, I really want to do that Daytona night race. So I think that would be a lot of fun. So we'll see if I can do that one. And then I think Charlotte Roval is in talks just because I was there last year.
Yeah.
And then just a couple other ones like Phoenix and Homestead in Vegas, maybe.
Okay.
So quite, you know, there's a good chunk that are still available for me to do. I just got to kind of piece it all together.
So do you not classify Atlanta as a super speedway now?
I mean, they say it was basically, but it's still like, I guess, a mile and a half. So like,
yeah,
but they said, you know, like talking to the drivers and stuff, they're like, this is basically a super speedway race. Like, this is what it's going to feel like at, you know, Talladega and stuff like that. So, yeah, that being said, I kind of want to do like a
real one, a traditional one.
Yeah, I want to do a real super speedway, but also want to do like a real mile and a half then too, you know, like, because I feel like that's like not like a real mile and a half with the repave and stuff now.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing a story on Alpha Prime Racing. So I know last year you raced for Jordan Anderson. So I guess my first like real question is like, what was it that drew you into the NASCAR hemisphere of motorsports initially?
I mean, I've always kind of had that aspiration to go try it, but it was more just kind of do like a road course race sometime down the road, and that would be it. And I went and I raced the Indy 500 last year, and I got 7th. And after that, it kind of put me back, I feel like, on the radar of other teams and series again. And my name kind of like became relevant again. and I got in touch with somebody in the NASCAR industry who, basically is like a manager and knew a lot of the teams and stuff, and knew of an opportunity at Jordan Anderson Racing to go run a road course race. And, um, that's just kind of like all we thought it was going to be, was just kind of go do this race at Indy road course, and just kind of check that off the list of like things I've wanted to try and do. And we did that, and I really enjoyed it. And then kind of like one conversation led to another. And next thing you know, like we're racing Bristol and Charlotte Roval and just all these other tracks. And I ran Martinsville in the truck, and I just really enjoyed it. So like, I was like, I kind of want to explore this on a more full-time level. Like I want to see if I can get full-time in this, in the Xfinity series for what would be this year. And I never was able to accomplish that, but the opportunity came up with Alpha Prime, to go do a good chunk of races. And for me, I feel like it's a good opportunity, just in the fact that I don't really know these cars. I don't know a lot of these tracks. So just kind of getting as many laps as possible, learning these places. And, so I feel like it's just preparing me for if I can get full-time next year.
All right. So what was the first time in a stock car like? I know it was a road course, but just what was like getting into it and accustomed to that kind of car?
Yeah, I mean, it was different for sure. I had so many questions getting into it, and unfortunately, it was like a lot of those questions couldn't be answered until like I actually just drove it, and like just like, when am I gonna have to hit the brakes? Because like I knew the Indy road course, I just didn't know like that track in this car. So it was like, when am I gonna have to hit the brakes for this corner? Am I gonna have to like lift for this corner? What's the change of direction like in the S is gonna be like? And it was just all these questions that you're just like are bugging you for like a week or two leading up to the race. And like you're going to get those answers like the first 2 laps of practice, but you're just like itching to get out there for practice. So it was interesting for sure. I think obviously the biggest thing was how heavy the car was. I was never, I've never driven a car that was that heavy. So like I had to really learn to like calm everything down and let the car do what it wanted to do and not really force it. And that was tough. And I pretty early on in the first practice, I smoked a set of tires just because I was too late on the brakes. And so that kind of put us behind the 8 ball like right away. But, it was all part of the learning experience of it. And, it was a lot of fun. But, I think for me, it's been quite enjoyable to learn the car. And I feel like now I'm like miles better than I was when I first showed up on the scene. And, I can show up now, like, first thing, roll it off the truck, get in the car and feel like I'm comfortable to be able to push the car to the limit of what it's supposed to be pushed to. Whereas like before, it's like, you're still searching for those little limits and stuff. And I also found that I felt like it was harder believe it or not, it was harder for me to transition to road course racing in this car than it was for ovals.
Really?
Yes. Like I found it, when I went to Indy road course, I struggled a lot more getting up to speed than I did at Bristol, for sure.
Is it just because of you have all the IndyCar experience still stuck in your head and you're just trying to like overwrite that to some degree?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was like trying to force it to do things it didn't want to do and just things I was used to. But also I feel like when I was at Bristol, like the car just felt better, like on an oval. Like it just was like, all right, this is more what this thing was like designed to do.
Yeah.
And it did things more proper on the ovals, whereas like on the road course, it just like didn't do anything you wanted it to do right. So it was just like figuring that out. And I legit found Bristol easier for me to I'm not saying easy, but I mean like easier for me to transition to than Indy road course early on. And I just feel like that was just more of the car being like more designed for stuff like that. And that was my first time ever on like a short track or anything like that. So that was a lot going into there, and I had no practice, no qual, just race. And I felt like pretty comfortable nearly right away.
That's what I thought. Like you didn't have any practice last year. So what do you remember about those first few laps under green at Bristol?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Like I was starting, I want to say like 30 something. I had maybe 2 or 3 cars behind me and a lot of cars in front of me, obviously. And, you know, my worry was I've never been here in any car, and most of the people around me have been here, and whether it was an ARCA car or a truck or an Xfinity car. So they've all kind of driven this place. And, you know, when you move up in ranks and stuff like that in different cars, like not a lot changes with like how you drive a specific track, just slight stuff. So I knew these guys, you know, had a lot more experience than me. And my biggest worry was going into turn 1 the first time. Like I've never driven a stock car on an oval. I've never driven at Bristol, like just so many things. And my worry was just like, what if I brake too early and I just get like run over, or if I don't brake enough and, you know, I run over somebody else. Like, so it was just like those first 5 laps was survive and just kind of figure out like where I am. And, you know, I think I almost fell back to dead last. I got passed by a lot of cars that like should not have passed me, but like it was all part of figuring it out and feeling it out. And then I'd say about like 15 laps in, it just all of a sudden clicked, and I started passing cars that I should have been in front of. And next thing you know, like, you know, we stayed in front of the leader for the first competition yellow or whatever. So we didn't go a lap down. And then that put us like in the game for the rest of the race, you know, not going a lap down. I was able to like get some more spots. And next thing you know, I'm inside the top 20, and we were running there most of the day. So I was expecting to go a lap down quite early, but we didn't go a lap down till the long green flag run, like stage 3. So it was pretty cool.
All right. So back to the main topic. So you've driven for Jordan Anderson and Tommy Joe Martins. How have you benefited from having owners who are drivers?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like especially this year, like having a teammate and also having a bunch of different teammates. Like,
yeah,
you know, I mean, like the rotation of drivers is every week in these 2 cars. And so it's like I'm teammates with somebody new every week, and they bring like some sort of different experience level, you know, that I can learn from. But you know, it's cool to be able to talk to Tommy and kind of like, you know, he's my team owner, but in the same sense, he's a race car driver. So he gets like things I'm saying and I get what he's saying. We can speak that same driver language. So that's been good. And especially too, last year with Jordan, like I didn't have a teammate. It was a 1-car team, and you know, he knows the car and drives it. So it was cool to, like I said, to be able to like speak that language with him. And I feel like it just made everything go a bit more smooth.
What are some of the like specific differences in driver language from open wheel to stock cars that you found?
Well, I mean, like for instance, like going to Bristol, like I remember watching, I want to say it was like the ARCA race the one night before ours. And I'm sitting there with Jordan, and I'm just like, how do you pass at this place? Like it's so small and nobody can get like a run. And, you know, he's just like, he could describe it to me, you know, instead of like somebody that maybe is not a driver and just saying like, oh yeah, just go up there and just move that guy out of the way. And that's how you do it. You know, like he was able to like kind of like break it down a bit more, where it's like, you know, if you get into the corner like this and you can get your nose in there, and you know, it's all about like kind of like getting a good drive off the corner. And then if your nose is there for the next corner, like you can, you know, you're probably going to get that spot. So like, it was just more detail oriented, and it makes sense to me because it's like, he knows what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing. So he knows, you know, him and Tommy, like they know like the things that really are important for me to hear.
All right. So how did Alpha Prime happen? Like why the move from Jordan over to Alpha Prime?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was kind of like out of a ride, not really doing much. You know, Jordan signed Myatt and was pretty stuck on doing 1 car. And that's all. I only knew Jordan Anderson and NASCAR, you know, so it was like, oh, well, that's basically it for us. But, you know, my manager, he somehow got in touch with Tommy Joe. And it literally was the fastest deal I think I've ever put together. Like it happened within 24 hours of
Hmm.
My manager called me and was like, "Hey, there might be an opportunity to go race some of these races with Tommy. What do you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like, I want to race." And Tommy FaceTimed me. I think he was on like a vacation somewhere. FaceTimes me, and within 24 hours of like our first FaceTime conversation, like the contract was sent over, like signed both parties, and like we were going racing. So like, it was pretty cool. Like Tommy knew me from racing last year, and we were on track together at some of those races. And, I think he was pretty excited to go to like a 2-car effort and kind of see where his stuff stacked up. And, I think that's what he's been doing this year, is getting a lot of different drivers in there and just kind of seeing like, where his program's at. And it's been a lot of fun. And, the improvements, it's cool because I'm getting to see it from like the beginning of the season to the middle of the season to the end of the season, kind of dealing like the improvements through that whole thing. Like, like when we went to COTA, for example, the car was much different from like when we were just at Road America, and it definitely showed. Like, I mean, at COTA, it was like I could barely get into the top 15, and at Road America, it's like we're fighting for a top 5. So it's pretty cool to like see the progression.
All right. So like the conversation with Tommy Joe, what was, did he have a pitch for you? Like, what was his hook for, yeah, come here?
No, he was just like, "Listen, I'm a small team. Like, here's where I feel like we're gonna be running. I'm gonna have 2 cars that are gonna be identical." And I thought that was really cool, because a lot of teams you go to, like if they have 2-3 cars, like they're not the same. And one car will be a lot better than the other. And he was very adamant about having 2 cars that rolled out of the trailer like the exact same. And I thought that was cool. And also, I heard a lot of good things about Tommy, through the paddock and everything. And just when I first had that first conversation with him, like it just confirmed all those things I've heard. And, he just seemed like a really genuine guy and just somebody I wanted to drive for. So it was pretty much a no-brainer for me. And I think also he was pretty excited. He kept saying like, "Oh, this is, so cool. An IndyCar guy wants to come drive one of my cars, at like, especially for like the road course stuff." And, so that was cool. And, he saw me run last year with Jordan with, running inside the top 10 at the road courses and everything. And I think that like excited him to be able to see, if his stuff was able to do that. And, I think we showed at Road America, it most certainly is.
So you'll be going back to Indy and maybe some of the other road courses. How do you feel you're going to be able to stack up on a repeat visit, especially after what you were able to do at Road America, which was just your first visit in that car?
Yeah, I mean, Road America is like one of my favorite tracks, but I haven't raced there since 2016. So I was like really happy with how the that weekend was going. But it's going to be cool to go back to tracks that I've already raced at, like Indy and Charlotte Roval. With having that year of experience already under my belt, I'll be looking forward to that. I think COTA is just not a track that I really enjoy in general. So I don't know. I think we've made a lot of progress from from where we were at COTA. As far as the car and the team and everything, but also like, I think like I just didn't really gel with that place. And, just driving a stock car around there. So going to tracks like Indy and Charlotte are definitely tracks that I enjoy driving. So I'm really excited to see like how that'll go, going to those for a second time. I never have really gotten the opportunity other than Atlanta, but that race only lasted 4 laps for me. So, that was the first time I got to go to a track that I've been to already in an Xfinity car. So I'm excited for Indy, because that'll be like my first real time, getting back out there on a track that I have good experience at.
So after being in NASCAR for basically a year and a half now, when it comes to like the culture of NASCAR, like specifically like in the garage culture or team culture, what are some differences that you found or that have surprised you compared to what you've experienced in the IndyCar garage over the years?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, I don't really know many people, so it's been trying to trying to like make new friends and all that. Whereas like all my friends in racing are basically IndyCar friends. So it's like when I'm in the IndyCar garage for the Indy 500 or something like that, like, you know, I'll leave the track and I'll go to dinner with some of these guys and, you know, we're always texting and talking and stuff, and which is cool. And it's very similar in the NASCAR paddock as well. I just don't know them on that level yet. And, you know, I think at first it was kind of like, I'm like this guy coming over from open wheel to stock car. And I was kind of looked at as like an outsider. So I don't think people were very, you know, wanting to be my friend at the time. So, but now I feel like people are starting to see that I'm not just looking at this as like, I'm doing this for a couple weekends and I'm here to just try and stir stuff up on road courses. Like I'm actually trying to make this a full-time gig. So I feel like I'm starting to get accepted into that group of drivers a bit more, and I'm starting to meet some more guys. And so, yeah, it's pretty similar, I'd say, like in the sense of, you know, the socialization aspect and all that. As far as like working, you know, everything is, it's all business still, you know, and you know, you're doing the best you can. I think these cars, though, they don't have like all the data and the sensors and all that stuff that like an IndyCar has. So it's like, you know, you get out of an IndyCar and it's like you go debrief with your engineer for an hour or something, and you guys are just staring at computer screens and all this and everything. Whereas like NASCAR, you get out of the car and it's just like, what it do, you know, how did it feel? And you tell them how it feels, and they might be able to make a couple changes, and that's about it, because you can't really look at any data or anything. So that's been tough for me, just trying to learn without data, because data is such a huge thing. And it, you know, as a driver, it speaks your, like I keep talking about like this driver language and everything, but like that's like our homework in IndyCar is like being able to look at data and understand that, especially with teammates and stuff. And when you don't have that, it's kind of hard to see where you're struggling or where you're good and what's working, you know? So like, there is definitely a lot of differences.
Well, at some point they're going to have to break you of saying paddock instead of garage.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of things they had to break me of. Like the first time I ever drove at Indy road course, I was at practice and I came in, they told me to pit, and you know, coming down pit lane and I was looking for my crew. I'm like, where are you guys? And they're like, we're at the garage. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like, I'm like, do you want me to like go to the pit box or something? They're like, no, you got to come back to the garage. And I was like, oh, I'm like, are we in trouble? And they're like, no, dude, like this is an IndyCar. We do everything from the garage. I'm like, okay. So I like drove back to the garage, but I had no idea like why or what was going on. So like, it's just little things like that I'm learning. And you know, when you're the first couple of weekends, when you're learning those things, like you feel so foreign to it, you know, and now that I know a lot of the ins and outs more, it makes like getting to the track a lot more stress-free.
Okay. So like my last count, Alpha Prime has like 11 drivers technically under its umbrella. So which teammate of yours have you spent the most time with, I guess, this year, and who's been most beneficial for you?
Honestly, I'd say Tommy. You know, he was my teammate at Atlanta 1, and you know, we worked pretty well. And then I'd also say Balicki. Balicki has a lot of experience, and he was a really fun teammate to have, and he was a pretty open book about things. So I'd say Tommy and Josh were definitely pretty cool teammates to have. You know, I've driven, I think, 2 races now with Josh as my teammate. So I spent probably the most time with Josh.
So Josh, like, okay, what's something that you learned from him that's helped you?
The things he was teaching me was like, you know, mostly about just like how to make this car go fast, and like what he found with it, you know, because he has so much experience, and he was able to kind of like open up to me about things that maybe I didn't think about. And you know, I felt like he's a pretty successful road course racer in these cars. So to hear him, you know, put things into terms, and especially around Road America, like that's like his words were like probably his best track, his most experienced track being from Wisconsin. So to be able to like hear some things that little tips and tricks from him about there was really cool. And I feel like that was why I was able to kind of get up to speed there quite quickly, like qualified really well there. And I feel like a lot of that was just because Josh was able to like break it down on a more detailed level for me.
So like you told the story about the pit stops in the garage. So even at this point, is there still stuff about NASCAR or NASCAR culture that you find like baffling or still hard to understand?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, get the garage thing. I didn't understand. Like, I just thought you would like do everything from the pit lane since you're already out there. Like, why go all the way back to the garage and then have to come all the way back out? I didn't understand that, but I guess I get it now. Like, whatever, but it's fine. Another thing was just like, I would have like people come up to me like every race weekend with like a part of my car, from like a race ago, it's just like, oh, that's my door from Bristol. Like, where did you get that? And they're like, oh, there's a website that sells all these parts that like, I'm like, oh, like, that's interesting. Like, because in IndyCar, it's like, that never happens. It's like, you never have somebody come up to you with like a front wing and it's like, hey, sign your front wing you broke here. Like, it's like, that never happens. So like, it's pretty interesting that like, people can buy like race car parts, which I actually find is really cool. Like Jordan Anderson gave me my first Bristol door.
Okay.
That was all beat up and everything. So that was like really cool. So I have that, but yeah, I found that interesting. But other than that, it's been, it's pretty normal stuff, and it's pretty similar stuff from series to series, and nothing too crazy.
All right. So I know we're a week out from Pocono, and I read the athletic story that they did about you and the importance of what that race represents for you, because I was covering IndyCar back when you last raced there, when the incident happened.
Mm-hmm.
So like just a week out from that race, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Like, that is finally happening. Like, I've been like, wanting to go back and race there for a long, long time. I think I wanted to go back for a while, but it wasn't like I was really ready to do it. But to actually be able to be ready to go do it, I think is a pretty cool feeling. So I'm excited for it. Like I said, like, it's a home race for me. So I have a lot of friends, a lot of family, like a lot of support there, which is nice, like, especially going to a place that I don't have the best memories at, to have like that support group around me. I feel like will make the process a bit better for me. But yeah, I think I'm going to try and go up there this week at some point, just to go walk around it and just kind of see it. And like, I don't want my first time to, like, I don't want my first time getting to the track and like the emotions of like the first time coming back since Robbie's accident. Being, me getting in the car for practice or qualifying. Like, I want to like kind of like already address that head on before I get there. So I'll try and do that this week, and then yeah, get there for the race. And for me, I think it's just have a kind of like a drama-free day, and I don't care if I finish 10th, 20th, 30th, or last. I think if we can just like do the entire race and have no drama, like, I feel like that's gonna mean like the most to me.
What you just said, it really reminds me back, in 2001, Dale Earnhardt Jr., when they went back to Daytona for the first time after Dale Sr. died, that's kind of what he did. He and a group of friends just got in an SUV and just drove over to turn 4, like at some point in the week before the race, and just kind of like hung out in the turn and kind of like just like made some peace with that spot.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna try and do. I'm gonna try and take my bike up there and just kind of like bicycle around the track a few times, and just kind of see it at like, not speed, but like a little bit of just riding through it. I just want to like there is like healing to that, of like being able to see it before you like get out there on the track. And like I said, I don't want to see turn one for the first time,
Yeah.
approaching it at 190 miles an hour or whatever it is, like I want to see it at a slow walking speed and come to terms with it and be like, all right, I'm ready to drive through you again, like, and get after it. And, just kind of like almost have that conversation with it before we go do our job with it.
So in the few weeks since we're in America, I know you said you're starting to make friends in the sport and all that. Since the incident with Noah and how everything transpired and everything that was said afterwards, what kind of feedback have you gotten from people in the NASCAR world about how you handled it, or just the situation in general?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think generally, like, a lot of people respected my interview on it. Like, a lot of drivers came up to me and said they would have handled that situation a lot differently than I did. But, maybe a couple of years ago I would have, or whatever. But, I had time to cool down, think about it, and just kind of said what I said. And that was it. I was obviously pissed off about the situation, but, I'm trying to also make something out of this and get to the top in NASCAR. And it's like, I think like the worst thing I could have done was probably go start a very negative thing, like getting in a fight or something. So, I'm just trying my best to not cause drama, make friends, and make this a good experience for everybody. And, being a part-time guy, like the last thing I want to do is like cost people points or championships or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be in the way of anything like that. So, that I don't want to be in that drama, but at the same point, like, there was nothing I could have done about that drama that day. I feel like I wasn't in the wrong there. So, but it was nice to talk to Noah. We spoke at Atlanta.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, we spoke. NASCAR brought us in the morning of the race, Atlanta race, and we spoke, and it went well. So we talked it out for probably a good 45 minutes, and he apologized for what he did. I apologized for things I did on track to him, and we kind of just were like, listen, like, I think at the end of the day, it was a respect thing where I was racing him hard, he was racing me hard. And the reason we're doing that is because, like, we both really want to beat each other, because we respect each other as racing drivers. And I think saying that to each other and everything, I think we like gained a lot of respect for each other. Okay. And we were able to like shake hands and kind of bury the hatchet and move on. And then, like, driver introductions came along for Atlanta, and he started like just like talking to me at driver introductions and started introducing me to like other drivers and stuff, like as if we were like best friends. So really? I don't know. Yeah. So it was pretty cool to like see the transition of it all. And, I respect him as a driver. I really do. Like, I think he's one of the most talented guys in the series. He's earned what he's done in the series. And, he'll be in Cup for sure. Like, he's just one of those guys that's got what it takes. So, I think it's cool to be able to race a guy like that, especially like, I think that's why Tommy was so pumped up. Like, he was so excited that we were like racing a junior motorsports car, and then the way it ended was just like, that just sucked. But at the end of the day, I think people noticed that we were there, and I think Noah noticed we were there, and he didn't really like that we were there. So, but I think at the end of the day, like, everything is pretty good now with me and Noah, and okay. We've moved on, and I don't think there's any like bad blood there. So I don't think like you're gonna like see us like the next time we're on track, like we're gonna be like purposely like running into each other anymore. Like, I think like those days, are past us. Okay.
Well, I was thinking about it like in the week or so after it, and the way your reaction to the incident, and I thought, okay, Sage Karam, this is a race car driver who, 6 years ago was in an accident that resulted in a tragedy. Did that being a part of your background, does that kind of impact your reaction to being intentionally wrecked? Like, I've been part of an accident.
Yeah. That's I explained that to him. I said, listen, dude, there's no one more, no one here more than me that knows like freak accidents in racing. Like, and you know, the reason why I'm so pissed about what happened was because I've been a part of freak accidents and all that. And you know, to cause an accident on purpose that could result in something like that is just like baffling to me. Like that's what I said to him. And I was just like, dude, like and I don't think he looked at it like that, and then until I said it and he was like, you're right. And that's where I think like he like it kind of like lit up in his head and it was just like, yeah, that was not cool on my part. And
what was he? Did you have to tell him that you were part of that accident, or was he aware of that? The thing you were at Pocono with Justin Wilson.
I'm sure he was aware of it. I didn't like go into details about it, but
okay,
I'm sure he knew about it. But yeah, I mean, like that was just why I was so frustrated about it. And then like literally the next day, you watch the Formula One race, and it was like there's another incident of a complete accident on a straight line. Somebody didn't see somebody and goes flying up over them and nearly goes into the bleachers and like could have ended very, very badly. And that's on accident. So it was like the whole like purposely doing it thing was wrong in my book. And it's like, I told him, I said, no, like, I am all for hard racing. Like if you want to door me in even the next corner, like just the slowest corner on track, it's a hairpin. Like if you wanted to door me there and push me off, like I'm totally fine with that. That's like how this racing has been, over here of what I've seen is a lot of aggression and that's totally fine by me. But like anytime we're starting to like do stuff that's taking a risk that we don't need to take of because it's just like a decision on emotion, I said, that's just not cool. And like, that's just not going to fly with me. But, if you want to race me hard and you want to rub wheels and doors or whatever, and like, I'm all for that. But, I'm not going to be okay with just getting turned into on a straight line. So he understood that. It was all good.
All right. So how many friends and family will you have with you next weekend at the track?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm putting the list together today, actually. Basically like nearly all my family and my wife's family is coming, and friends, I'm still figuring out that list, and people that have helped me along the way, especially people that helped me in the whole situation from my accident to get to this point. So there's a lot of people for sure. I'd say 100 to 200 people will be there just from my personal journey with them and helping me with it, and whether they're friends, family, or colleagues of some sort. So yeah, it'll be pretty cool. It'll be pretty fun.
All right, man. Well, I hope you get to enjoy the weekend. I really do. So I know, because I know it's important for you. So
yeah.
So Sage, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed the conversation. I might see. I think I'm going to be in Indianapolis. I think I'm covering that, so I might see you there. Your first Indy 500 in 2014 was basically like my second race that I ever covered. That whole month of May was the first time I ever actually got to cover any kind of race weekend. And I actually did an interview with you.
Oh, that's cool.
I believe I did that story for the Indianapolis Monthly or my grad school program. I can't remember which one, but yeah, you were one of my like first professional journalism experiences.
That's cool.
So we kind of met at a same kind of point.
Yeah. And then kind of went different ways, and now we're kind of coming back. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I remember you. I interviewed you in the garage. It had just finished, like it had just rained, and you were wearing, I believe, like a blue sweater for your high school.
Oh, my high school. Yeah, that's probably right after qualifying or something.
So you were in a good mood at the time. So.
Yeah. No, I remember that because I put that sweatshirt on after qualifying, and I took a photo by the scoring pylon showing that I qualified for my first 500 because I was in high school still. So I had my high school sweatshirt on. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I believe you told me a story that like right after that, like you had I think maybe jumped up on the pit wall in a yellow
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah, a yellow shirt yelled at me. It was like, "Hey kid, get off the wall!" And I was like, "I just qualified for my first 500. I'm taking a photo." And he like was like, "Yeah, okay." And I'm like, "No, I'm serious. Like that's my car number right there." Like, but I was a high school kid, so nobody would like believe that this little dude was racing in the 500.
You went straight from that to me in the garage, and I interviewed you. So
Yeah, that
you
was
told me
funny.
that. So
That's cool.
all right, Sage, again, so thank you. And just good luck in Pocono, and I hopefully maybe I'll meet up with you in Indianapolis. So
All right, man. Sounds good. Take it easy.
you too. Thank you.